Well, it's a pleasure to be joined here on MASN All Access by Taylor Ward, who covers the Angels for Baseball America. Taylor, first of all, thank you so much for taking some time, but we have to jump right into the elephant in the room, which is that you share a name with now Orioles outfielder Taylor Ward, a guy that you covered for a long time out in LA. Usually we ask players, hey, the day you get traded, what is that day like? And they say, oh, my phone is blowing up, this and that. When Taylor Ward, the outfielder, gets traded, what is the day like for Taylor Ward, the beat writer?
It is an impossible task. I've known Taylor before he was a professional baseball. I knew him before he was a president of state. So it's been a long road with Taylor, and it's always been funny because his actual first name is Joseph. His middle name is Taylor, but love Taylor. Yeah, my phone blew up. The same, and it's funny. I live in a small town, and to avoid dealing with ex-girlfriends' moms kind of things, they're like, oh, do you still play for the Angels? I'm like, yeah, sure. Yeah. Right. So now it's one of those like, oh, hey, you got traded to Baltimore. So no, Taylor's an awesome guy. And I texted him the other day and he said, it's going to be weird not having a Taylor Ward in the room with me. Actually, that's not true. His wife's name is Taylor as well. Taylor Ward is married to Taylor. So, but yeah, it was a very interesting day. A lot of friends. There's a lot of jokes, obviously, about it as well. But yeah, it's confusion for some of my local community as well.
Yeah, well, we've got play-by-play guy Kevin Brown, who is also not that Kevin Brown, so he can certainly relate to that issue there. What was that first interaction like with Taylor, where you go up to him and say, "Hey, Taylor Ward, Taylor Ward"?
So there were two. I mean, we actually played baseball against each other long time ago in high school days, but it was his introduction after getting drafted. The PR director was introducing him in the Angels media room and said, we're going to start our questions with Taylor Ward. And I said, hey, Taylor. And he looked at me and was like, hey, and it was one of those connections of like, we've met before, but where have we met? And I said, Taylor, I'm Taylor Ward. And he said, I'm Taylor Ward. It was it was an old connection that kind of came to fruition. And I got to see him when he was in the minors progressively. So for years and years and years after, it was always one of those once or twice, once a month, once every other month. It was a pretty good joke dealing with him and having people in the clubhouse, having people outside the clubhouse, having, getting Twitter mentions, being like, great home run, Taylor. I'd be like, I'm going to pass this along to Taylor. I'm going to pass it along to Joseph.
Yeah, every time you see him in the clubhouse, just say, hey, look, somebody tweeted something great at me for something that you did, but I'll take the credit for it.
No. Well, the other fun one is the LA Kings have a Taylor Ward as well now. And they actually, Angels PR called me on this. I couldn't make it down for the photo, but they had a photo of Taylor Ward, the hockey player, with Taylor Ward, the baseball player. And they called me to invite me to it. I just couldn't make it. But there's a lot to it when it comes to just that name, man.
Yeah, now this is the only Taylor Ward that I can think of who is now in Baltimore. We'll have to find some more out here to match LA.
Yeah, we got to find another Taylor Ward, man. They're out there apparently.
Yeah, now you mentioned some of the fun interactions with the clubhouse with Taylor. This is an 8-year veteran, and that's something that the Orioles and their young clubhouse has kind of been missing over the past few seasons. It is a team that is led by a lot of the young guys, and now Taylor Ward comes in having a lot of big league experience. What kind of leader is he internally, and what does he bring to this Orioles clubhouse?
I think he's a quiet leader. Taylor is pretty subdued by just his nature. But one of the things that comes up with that also is this is a guy that just won the Baseball Writers Association Good Guy Award last season. So he's very well liked. He's very well respected. Like you said, he's a veteran of the game at this point. And he'll go and tell people, hey, this is what I saw from the pitcher. Very experienced hitter. And I think he learned that from his time growing up with, Albert Pujols and Mike Trout, among other people. So I think he's kind of carried the torch of learning from others to where he can now teach others as well.
Yeah, and even if he's not the most vocal guy in the world, over the past few seasons, one of his biggest calling cards has been stability, with over 150 games played each of the last 2 seasons. What has that stabilizing force meant in the middle of that Angels lineup for the past few seasons?
Oh, it's been dramatic. I mean, he was part of the 2023 team, right? The 2023 team, very well documented. That's the year that the Angels kept Shohei Ohtani when they probably shouldn't have. Ownership decision kind of led to that decision of keeping Shohei at the trade deadline. But that's the year that Taylor went face first into a metal railing or the outfield wall and busted himself up. And that was the last year he didn't have 100 games played. I think he played 97 that year. And him missing in that lineup, that was actually his biggest breakout year. He was probably going to be an all-star that year, or at least, we felt that way, is that he was going to be an all-star that year. Ended up going injured list for quite a while, and still, 97 games, still had an OPS over 750. So yeah, losing a guy like that in the lineup, and something the Angels are going to have to address here soon, is finding a way to fill that spot in the lineup. But yeah, he's not a guy that you can just lose for a day or two. So the fact that he's putting out 150 plus games, he's only missing a handful of games every year, is dramatically important.
Now, you mentioned the breakout in 2023. He wasn't a player that really hit the ground running as soon as he made the big leagues. What led to the jump in production over the past few seasons?
I'm trying to remember the guy's name, but he went to a personal friend. It was a friend of Brett Phillips. It was a friend of his that was a hitting coach in, I want to say North Texas, somewhere out that way. And they got to working together, and he said, I want to swing a baseball bat like Justin Turner. And he did. You watch him, he kind of swings like Justin Turner. And that was a turnaround. You look at him post-COVID, I think, he's got a 116 OPS plus, probably been a top 30 outfielder in all of baseball since the end of COVID, 2021 onward. And that's when he went to go see, and I wish I remember the guy's name, it was Trent something, but he went to go see a personal hitting coach. And it just completely transformed his game entirely. And it's been obviously a boon to his career. Like you said, he had a very slow start to his career, and he was never expected to be a hitter. When he was drafted, he was a defense-first catcher. They moved him around to third base, and it wasn't working. And then he finally found the outfield. And, man, he's been a lights-out outfielder as well. Little cautious in the outfield is the way I would put it, after going face first into a railing, which I would be too, but very sound, very fundamental outfielder that's going to get the outs for you and play good defense too. So it entirely changed his game over the span of not only 10 years but year by year to a degree.
Yeah, Justin Turner, not a bad guy to emulate at the plate whatsoever. And last season in particular, we saw a career high in home runs, career high in runs driven in. What led to that increase in power production? Was it a conscious decision to try to tap into the home run ball a little bit more, or was it just something that came as a result of some of these swing changes?
I think it's just a natural result in time. I think, this is a guy that has always kind of been thin. He's been, athletic frame, but thin. And you look at him last year, he's just stronger. You just see him as a stronger guy in the last 2 years. More consistent ability to find the barrel, kind of buys into that analytical approach to a degree. So he's looking for swings in his zone to do damage on, and knows what zone he's going to do damage on. And you saw it last year, 36 home runs. I think it was top 5 in the American League, or somewhere up in that range. You look at his last couple of years, he's averaging almost 30 per 162 games. 25 last year, the year before, had another 20 plus season. So the power's kind of always been there, but being able to tap into it more frequently based on his swing decisions. I know his strikeouts have climbed significantly, but the swing decisions itself, I think, has been the biggest change for him.
Yeah, and I want to ask you about those swing decisions, because he doesn't swing very much in general. Only Juan Soto swung less last year. Talk to me a little bit about his patience and just general approach at the plate.
He is a bit of a guess hitter, which in today's game can be very challenging and can be exposed, which is an alarming thing when it comes to Taylor, is you want him to go up there looking, but he's looking for his pitch in his zone. And that's the big thing. I think someone made a joke about it, and I can't remember who it was, but it was, he chases about the least you'll ever see, is he doesn't chase at all, but he also probably led the league and pitches down the middle, take it. So I would say that he's a guess hitter, which take it for what it's worth. Like you said, he doesn't swing a lot, but it does lead to on-base percentage. It does lead to high slug, and he's going to be, he might not have the batting average you want to see from a guy that's going to be the primary producer offensively, but he's going to get on base. He's going to slug. So high OPS guy. I think he's, we're not talking about a 1+ OPS or anything like that, but the fact that he's been a 115 to 120 OPS plus hitter for the last half decade kind of speaks to it. So, yeah, I just guess hitter, man. And apparently it works. Didn't work for me. I can't guess that well.
Yeah, I mean, if you're waiting for your pitch, he does damage when he finds that particular pitch. I guess finally here, Taylor, just if you were to give me a quick summary of what you think Taylor Ward brings to Baltimore in a few sentences here, what would that be? What should the expectations be for this 2026 season?
I think right-handed power and stability in the lineup. I think stability in the lineup, because he doesn't go through many cold stretches. He'll go through hot stretches, no doubt about it, but not many cold stretches. So stability throughout the season. It's a 1-year contract, or he's only got 1 year remaining on the contract, so it's only going to be for 1 year at this point. But I think for that 1 year, and a team like the Orioles, who very well could be World Series contenders by when we come around February, March, we could be talking about them the same way we were the last 2 years, right? Potential World Series contenders. And I think this is a guy that's going to bring stability, and wherever you put him in the lineup, whether it's the 2-hole, the 4, cleanup, 5th spot, wherever you put him, I think you can protect some of your just as productive bats. He's going to be protection for guys like Adley Rutschman, Colt Cowser, others like that. And like you said, he brings some veteran presence that is much needed on this Orioles lineup. No denying the talent that the Orioles have, but by any means, it's an incredibly talented team, but they do need some experience, and I think that's what Taylor's going to bring to the Orioles.
Well, Taylor, we very much appreciate the insight. Hopefully you can make it to a few Kings games to get your Taylor Ward fix in. I mean, I know you're going to be missing him out there with your namesake, but Taylor, very much appreciate the time. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brandon.